In this video, I'm going to talk about the history of obesity and introduce the fat cell number theory. In early human history, those who could store fat easily had an evolutionary advantage in the harsh environment of early hunters. Story of obesity is closely related to that of the history of food. It is a classic example of the disease that has been argued to be the side effect of evolutionary process. The best known of these earliest representations of the human form of obesity is the one discovered in Wallendorf, Australia in 1908. Which is commonly known as the Venus of Wallendorf. This mystery nude female figures of Stone Age Europe dating back to more than 20,000 years ago and is considered to be icon of fertility of the mother goddess. Obesity in Western Europe isn't prominent until the attack of the bubonic plague. The bubonic plague is also called the Black Death, killed as many as one-third European people in 3 long years between 1347 to 1350. The disease spread quickly, killed an estimate of 30 million Europeans. Symptoms of the bubonic plague first started with the people becoming malnourished and eventually lead up to that person to death. Therefore, Western Europeans are frightened by the threat of the plague affecting them and believed the plague was caused by being malnourished. So the bubonic plague therefore caused obesity cases to multiply in the rich and upper class people. So those in the middle and upper class system invested their money in food and indulged in it and left the peasant for what they could find. By eating, the upper class thought they were immune to bubonic plague. Before the plague, those who fell in the category as being obese were rich kings and noblemen. The rich class would throw feasts which they could have vast amount of food, usually only to entertain very few guests. Peasants or the poor farmers, they cannot afford much, so it would be very rare to find a case where a peasant or a poor farmer would be obese. Also, in most medieval times, it was a crime for a poor farmer to be obese, and that sentence could be as mild as a stoning and as severe as death. Upon women through the post-medieval time, obesity was considered to be a form of beauty. A woman who was thin and frail through these times were considered ugly and usually unwanted by men. After millions of deaths caused by the bubonic plague and after it passed, the flourishment of reassurance came. So therefore, the term of obesity does not appear in English language until the 17th century. Prior to the modern times, the corpulence was associated with power and influence. In literature, the corpulent were portrayed as jolly and lovable. Not until the late half of the 20th century did obesity become stigmatized. Now, let me talk a little bit about the fat cell number theory. The theory indicates the generation of adipocyte is a major factor behind the growth of adipose tissue during childhood, but it is unknown whether the number of adipocyte changes during adulthood. Although the total adipocyte number increases in childhood and adolescence, this number leveled off and remained constant in adult in both lean and obese individuals. Therefore, the differentiation adipocyte number between lean and obese individuals is established during childhood, and the total number of adipocytes for each weight category stays constant during adulthood. So therefore, let's summarize. Children and adolescents, they can produce new adipocyte. However, adult, the number of adipocytes stay constant. Evidence also indicate even though during gastric binding surgery, which leads to the loss of huge quantity of weight, but the total number of the fat cells stayed the same as before surgery. In conclude, it is very important to control childhood obesity.